man, have you ever had an argument with your significant other and then you have to leave and go to work? And so all that emotion is carried over into your work day and it's just a bad start to a day. Well, that's what happened, I think, yesterday at the Minnesota Vikings press conferences. Weird body language. Something significant happened yesterday behind closed doors in Egan. And I'll tell you what it is, or at least what I think it is on the UP.
I don't know who I am. Can I say?
Powered by Riverside FM.
Hey, man, did anybody watch KOC's press conference, JJ McCarthy's press conference, Carson Wentz press conference yesterday? Man, there was some weird juju going on there. There was some weird body language, and more specifically, weird body language with KOC and JJ McCarthy. KOC is this really happy-go-lucky guy. I know he has some intensity to him in terms of being a head football coach in the NFL. We've all heard the video where they showed behind closed doors the locker room, and you could hear KOC yelling a couple years ago. I believe it was after maybe the Philadelphia Eagles game where they had a lot of self-inflicted turnovers and stuff like that. You could hear KOC getting after his players, but for the most part, KOC is kind of this. He is I call him the anti-Mike Zimmer. This is what they want, and this is how franchises usually go when they have a guy that is what you would deem as a player's coach. The next hire is usually a tough disciplinarian, or if you have the disciplinarian guy, your next head coach is someone that's like KOC, great relationship builder, great to have in the front office, engages with everybody, kind of the collaboration culture builder type coach. That's what KOC is. But if you watch, and if you haven't watched KOC's press conference, go watch it. Like, he came into that interview space pretty hot. And then Judd Zolgad asked a question about the quarterback situation, and basically what he said was, and I'm paraphrasing here, the quarterback situation is the same as it was on Monday. Like, to one of the most respected reporters in Minneapolis. And so I thought to myself, man, whenever I see coaches, because usually it's coaches that are not happy with what's going on with the season, that have a lot of frustrations, why are you trying to jump bad with Judd Zolgad? Like, all of that anger, all of that frustration, all of that energy, don't apply it to the reporters, because that's wasted energy. Take all of that vim and vigor and go into your practices and stop your guys from false starting. Go into your practices and stop your guys from jumping off sides. KOC comes on and talks about the self-inflicted penalties. Take all that anger, take all of that frustration, and go into your practices and get that stuff stopped. That is energy that is well spent. It is not well spent jumping down Judd Zolgad's throat about a question that he should be asking. It's the number one question that is on everybody's mind, is about who's going to be the starting quarterback from Sunday. And so it was a valid question. It was a relevant question. So there's really no need to do the tough guy stuff and jump down Judd Zolgad's throat for asking a pertinent question that everybody wants to know. Again, take that energy and go into your practices and apply it to your team, because you talk about self-inflicted. Take that same approach to the guys who are creating those same mistakes over and over and over again every Sunday. Now, what got KOC so hot? And so I think when you are not a person that dabbles in sports or has never coached a sport, this happens to kind of be my industry. So even though I don't coach NFL football, I coach a completely different sport. I've had the opportunity to coach at some high levels. And the one thing about it is just the relationships. Like, every decision that's made within a sports organization, a lot of people out there don't understand what happens behind the scenes when those decisions are made. Like, there are some QB1s that aren't playing very well, that get beat out by the number 2 quarterback, or maybe get the coaching staff thinking, hey, we may want to go in this direction. There are numerous conversations with the QB2 where you're saying, hey, we're going to put you in. And then there has to be a conversation with the QB1 basically saying, hey, we're going to go in a different direction. You lost your spot. Those conversations you'll never hear, but they're oh so important. And I believe that something significant happened yesterday before that press conference. Man, I don't know. I'm not an Egan. Obviously, I'm not in Minnesota Vikings headquarters, but I know the signs of tough conversations. I know the signs of tough conversations. Let me build this for you. Let me, and this is all speculative, man. I haven't heard anything, but I'm just going to try to build this for you. I don't think that there's anybody out there that would disagree that JJ McCarthy is a dog. And what I mean by dog is that he's going to do everything for this team that he possibly can, whether he's healthy or whether he's not healthy. Right now, he's not healthy, but you know that if JJ McCarthy had his way, he would come back at 80%. You know he would. He wants to be out there with his teammates. He wants to please the Minnesota Vikings fan base. He wants to be the face of this franchise. It is the way he is wired. He's a dog. You saw it when he made the plays against the Chicago Bears in that fourth quarter, sacrificing his body, jumping across the goal line, pandering to the fans, yelling and screaming. He's got a lot of dog in him. So here's what I knew when I first found out that JJ McCarthy was injured. I said to myself, he is going to do whatever he can to get back. You're talking about a kid that spent all year last year on the shelf, and now he's got this little ankle sprain. I shouldn't call it little ankle sprain. It's a high ankle sprain, 4 to 6 weeks. And once that thing, to think about a high ankle sprain, for those of you that have never had it, like that thing starts to feel better after 4 weeks. Like just walking around, just doing your normal daily activities, that thing starts to feel better. And it starts to feel what I call normal. But you're not really running on it, stressed running. Like you can run on it and you may not feel any pain, but you're not running on it with a 350-pound D-tack chasing you. That's a whole different kind of running. And that's what they have to test out. That's what they have to stress. But as an athlete, that's a dog that wants to get out there. Man, he's not trying to hear that. He's trying to convey to his coaches, I'm ready to go. Behind the scenes, I think this is what JJ McCarthy is verbalizing to his coaching staff. Now, he said in his press conference yesterday, I'm not completely 100%. So there is something there where he feels like, okay, I'm not 100%, but I still can't perform. And I guarantee you that he is talking to his coaches about that. And I believe that there was a significant conversation before that press conference, and I'm just speculating, between KOC and all the parties involved. And sometimes those conversations can get a little heated. I believe JJ McCarthy feels like he can play on Sunday. It's been a long time. I believe that he wants to get out there. I believe KOC is on a completely different path when it comes to that. I think KOC wants JJ McCarthy as his franchise quarterback. I think he wants him under center as soon as he is ready mentally and physically. I think that's what Kevin O'Connell wants. But man, dig into the mind of Kevin O'Connell. The first 2 games, the optics were not good. So I think KOC wants to make sure that the next time we put JJ McCarthy out there, that he can perform like the quarterback that we know he is. Going any other route puts the whole JJ McCarthy thing in a whole nother path. Imagine. People keep saying Carson Wentz hasn't lit it up out there, which I agree with. But I don't think you can argue that he's been a very serviceable backup. He's been doing a pretty good job for all intents and purposes. He's been doing a pretty big job. Just imagine now if you go back to JJ, who's supposed to be our franchise guy, and it goes back and it reverts back to the first 2 games and what we saw. Not saying that that's going to happen, but there is a possibility. Like you can't 100% guarantee me that that won't happen anymore. And I think that's in the back of KOC's mind. So when he starts talking about the footwork and being on rhythm and him having a full week of practice, which he has been limited in practice, so a full week of practice. KOC has also mentioned that he's only practiced 1 full day since the Chicago Bears game. You know, when you start bringing those things up, it goes away from the physical ankle and about the next time this kid gets out there, I got to make sure his footwork is right. I got to make sure his rhythm is right. He said he hasn't been as hands-on with the quarterback since he's been here in Minnesota. So KOC wants to make sure that this thing is right. And so you have two people right now that are on opposite sides of the fence. And I've been in these conversations before. JJ McCarthy feels like, I got it. I'll get the footwork right. I've watched Carson Wentz for the past couple of weeks. This is my team. The dog in him is saying, man, I want to get back out on the field. My ankle feels okay for me to perform. If it wasn't, coach, I would tell you. But KOC in the back of his mind knows that the ankle is going to be somewhat limited. Even JJ McCarthy says, I'm not 100%. And can he get, KOC really believes in this stuff. I mean, he's the quarterback whisperer. Can he get his footwork correct? Can he get his hips correct? Can he get the ball out of his hands? KOC has a lot to lose in this, man. He has a lot to lose in this. He has invested in a quarterback and told the world that this quarterback is our next franchise quarterback. And I agree with him 100%. But the optics, UP Nation, Purple Gang, Skull Nation, are what's important. The optics drive everything. And so the next time, whether it's the Eagles, whether it's the Chargers or the Lions, what have you, the next time that young man hits the field, it's got to look better. It's got to look better. KOC doesn't want to come to these press conferences, man, and ask questions about, what's wrong with JJ McCarthy every week. He didn't like the first two games, no matter what the reason was. Christian Darrisaw out, what have you. But it's got to look better. And so I think part of the hesitation with naming a starting quarterback for Sunday, and who knows, by the time this gets published, they may have named a starting quarterback. I just think it is not so much about the ankle. I think that's part of it. Because he's not 100%, and KOC said he won't play until he is 100%, and I think sometimes that's just a way to buy more time. KOC is smart enough and knows that the optics are what's important going forward, especially when it comes to JJ McCarthy. Man, he didn't like what he heard. He didn't like the criticism of his play calling and JJ McCarthy after those first two games. He didn't like that. Like, he's in a comfortable spot with Carson Wentz. No one's going to blame him if the backup quarterback really doesn't work. Really, it's the backup quarterback. So I think he's all in on JJ, but I think there was a tough conversation yesterday. And I think after that tough conversation, KOC comes to that press conference and his body language is completely different than he's ever shown. And then as soon as Judd Zolgad asks a question, the very first question that he didn't like, well, the situation is the same as it was on Monday when I answered that question. Like, I understand the frustration, but again, you can miss me with the tough guy act. That's not you. Be KOC. And if you have that frustration and negative energy, take that on the freaking field and get your guys to stop all the self-inflicted penalties. Use that venom and voim, whatever you want to call it, that anger and frustration, and be the tough guy on the field with you guys to get rid of some of those plays that are hurting this football team that have nothing to do with X's and O's. It's about focus and discipline. That's where that energy needs to be spent. It is not well spent on Judd Zolgad. But something significant happened yesterday. There was a conversation somewhere. And man, I've been around sports for a long time. I can read the body language. Even JJ McCarthy's body language was a little bit different yesterday. There was a little bit, like, he tried to hold it together, but there was a little bit of edge to him yesterday. Carson Wentz was really the only one that was kind of happy-go-lucky. So I believe that there has been a decision made behind closed doors. It's going to be interesting to see if I'm right. But I believe that there's been a decision behind closed doors. Just reading the body language in those press conferences yesterday told me a lot. Man, this has been Unconventional Playbook. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, UP Nation, we will see ya when we see ya. Skol!